Behind every photograph is a story, and behind his most beautiful portrait was the woman he could never have. Julian was a photographer who saw the world through a lens, but nothing he ever captured compared to the light he saw in Alara. She was his best friend's younger sister, a whirlwind of laughter and bright, curious eyes. For years, he had watched her grow, from a girl with scraped knees and pigtails, to a woman who moved with an effortless grace that took his breath away. He was the quiet observer, the one who lingered in the background, his camera a shield for his heart. He documented everything. Alara, barefoot in the summer grass, a wildflower tucked behind her ear. Alara nose scrunched up in concentration as she painted, a smear of cobalt blue on her cheek. Alara, her face illuminated by candlelight at a birthday dinner. Her smile so radiant it outshone the tiny flames. These weren't just pictures. They were fragments of a love story he was too afraid to write. He was older, the responsible friend, and she saw him as a brother, a fixture in her life as constant and dependable as the North Star. To confess his feelings felt like it would shatter the comfortable universe they all lived in. One autumn afternoon, the golden hour light was perfect. Alara was visiting his studio, talking about her dreams of traveling the world. The setting sun streamed through the large window, catching the gold flecks in her eyes and setting her hair ablaze. He couldn't resist. "Alara," he said, his voice softer than he intended. "Stay." "Right there, just for a second." He lifted his camera, the familiar weight a comfort in his hands. He didn't pose her. He just captured her, midluff, her head tilted back, pure joy radiating from her. In that single click of the shutter, he poured every unspoken word, every hidden feeling, every ounce of his affection. He called the photograph the Muse. It was technically flawless decomposition. The lighting, the focus, but it was the emotion in it that made it extraordinary. It held a story of longing and adoration that was palpable. He entered it into a prestigious international competition, half hoping it would get lost in the sea of entries. But it didn't. It won. It won everything. Suddenly, Julian was no longer just a local photographer. The Muse was everywhere, on the cover of magazines, in galleries from Paris to Tokyo. Critics lauded his ability to capture the soul of his subject. Interviewers asked him, "Who is she? What's the story behind this incredible portrait?" And Julian would just smile and say, "She's an inspiration." He never used her name. He protected her from the storm of publicity, keeping her identity his most treasured secret. The world saw a masterpiece. He saw a confession. Fame was a strange and hollow thing. He was surrounded by people, yet he had never felt more alone. The portrait that brought him success was also a constant, painful reminder of the distance between them. One evening, there was a gallery opening in their hometown to celebrate his success. The centerpiece, of course, was the Muse, enlarged to a breathtaking size. Alara was there, standing with her brother, looking up at the portrait of herself. Julian watched her from across the crowded room. His heart hammered against his ribs. He saw her eyes trace the details of the photo, a slow, dawning realization on her face. She wasn't just looking at a picture of herself. She was seeing herself through his eyes for the first time. The tenderness, the reverence, the sheer, unadulterated love that he had so carefully hidden was all there, exposed for her and the world to see. Her gaze left the photograph and found him. The noise of the room seemed to fade away. It was just the two of them, connected by an invisible thread of understanding. She took a tentative step toward him, her expression a mix of surprise and something else. Something he dared not name. Was it recognition? Reciprocation? He didn't know, but for the first time, he felt a flicker of hope. She walked through the crowd, which parted for her as if sensing the gravity of the moment. She stopped right in front of him, her eyes searching his. "Julian," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "All this time, I never knew." He couldn't speak. He could only look at her, the woman he had loved in silence for so long. She reached out and gently touched his arm. "You always saw me," she said, a small, wondrous smile gracing her lips. "Really saw me." The photograph had been his secret confession, a message in a bottle he'd thrown into the world, never expecting it to reach its intended shore. But it had shown her the truth he couldn't speak. Standing there, under the gallery lights, with his masterpiece bearing witness, Julian realized the story wasn't over. The photograph wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. It was the moment the observer finally stepped out from behind the lens and into the frame of his own life, ready to find out if the woman he could never have was finally within his reach. The story of the Muse became a legend in the art world, not just for its beauty, but for the love story it unveiled. Julian continued to take photographs, but his best work was always of a not as a distant muse, but as his partner, his equal, his everyday inspiration. He learned that the greatest art isn't born from unrequited love, but from a love that is seen, shared, and lived, day by ordinary, beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching. The stories we tell ourselves and others have the power to shape our lives. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is let your heart tell its truth. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next video.